Good morning. The Vikings approach and our city walls are still incomplete. These menacing foes will make light work of this empty foundation. And so I'm going to build the most epic and spiky tower to defend our grand cathedral and the city that surrounds it. So that's quite enough setting the scene. Let's get to work on this new build. I wanted to take some inspiration from our monastery, and so I used some sandstone to build an amazing sandstone pyramid. How exactly this sandstone pyramid would turn into a tower, I wasn't quite sure. However, the end result was pretty good and definitely worth sticking around for. So let's turn this foundation with a smattering of sandstone into a proper tower. Of course, any tower worth having has balconies, entrances, and exits. And so I added 4 little balcony areas around each side of the pyramid. One of these is going to be an entrance from the walls, and the other 3 are going to be used to shoot down at pesky Vikings. And now, with the balconies in place, the pyramid looks a little bit less weird. However, I don't really want to use sandstone all the way up, so I'm going to mix some stone brick into the rest of the tower. And I did exactly that. We've now got this extra section of stone brick leading up to a new platform. And I think the most interesting thing about this build are the 3 dripstone spikes on each corner of the pyramid. I'm not sure they really serve any purpose. Let's be honest, they look pretty cool. And now our tower is starting to look like the kind of thing you wouldn't want to attack. If the castle you're attacking can waste money on spikes, they probably have some pretty cool weapons. However, this tower needed a tower top, and so I added on this extra wooden layer. It's got an amazing panoramic view from between these fences. It gets absolutely soaked in light during the sunset. It's also got a pretty good view of our cathedral. If you're ever not sure why you're defending the city, you can just turn around and see. And with the spikes, this thing looks absolutely menacing in the sunset. The monastery is quaint and pretty, and this means business. So with a few more fences, the top section was nearly complete. So all that was left to do was put a roof on it, which I did quite quickly, and it looks pretty cool. But there is something missing from this roof. It's a certain thing that I tend to do with most of my towers, of which I have many. I'm going to show you all the towers on the western wall, and let's see if you can figure out what's missing. We have this ridgetop forest here called the Thaldric Oaks. We have our first tower, which is the tallest of them all. Then as we descend along the western wall, we can see our second tower, which is a copy of the first. As we reach our monastery just below the forest, we can see a bunch more towers. We've got a very small spindly sandstone tower, but the largest tower of the monastery is a blend of sandstone and stone brick. We then have another spindly monastery tower, and then our completed spiked tower. But before we can fix the rest of our defences, let's go to a quick story segment.
On a misty morning like any other, the waters around Ladogen rippled not only with their usual pacing, but with great wakes from Mayor Jansen's newly acquired fleet. They were going to sail around the eastern peninsula and up to the northern sea in a hunt to sink the great Valkyria Sovereign. The mayor was flanked not only by the great pirates of the Eastern Sea, but by the Emperor of Sakurajima. If they could accomplish this great task and sink the largest ship ever built, the Dawn Protectorate would be far safer from an Oluffian invasion.
So there we go. As always, each episode of MorningCraft contributes to a broader story. While the neighbouring city of Ladigan is preparing naval invasions, this tower stands ready to ward off invasions. Its smokestack on top can be seen for miles, and the sun glistens through each of its windows as the sun sets. The spikes give it a dangerous look, even from afar, and these 6 towers make an attack a daunting prospect. Maybe we'll just go somewhere else to raid. Or at least, hopefully, that's what the Vikings would say. You can see I connected up this wall to the balcony as well, making it an easy entrance to the tower. And of course, you can also get to the monastery towers. However, the north wall is seriously in need of some love. It's just a flat and boring wall. No extra defences, just a bunch of lanterns. There aren't even crenellations to hide behind. And while I will have to come back and do a bunch more to this wall in future, for now I've added just a few railings. It doesn't really help us defend it, but it makes you less likely to fall off into the water. And the fact I've actually done something to this wall instead of just leaving it for 20 years means I'm more effective than the British government. Either way, take a look at this tower. It's pretty cool, it's pretty spiky, and it's ready to defend against Vikings. Let me know in the comments down below what you think of this tower design. Do you like the dripstone spikes? Would you do something differently if it was your tower? Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you're new around here, why not subscribe? But that brings us to the end of this episode of MorningCraft. Looking forward to seeing you in the next one, and until then, I hope you have a really good day. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Stephen, and you've been watching MorningCraft. Get out there, go have an amazing day, make it amazing, and I'll see you in 2 days' time for the next episode. If you have any build suggestions, also put those in the comments. But until next time, enjoy this daily quote. They are in the walls. I can hear them. They're in the walls.